Hello, HK Fanatic here. This review is going to be on the Jingong HK 416D. Again, this is going to be a quick overview on some consumer highs and low points. You can look up more information on it on YouTube. You can go to some of the other top reviewers for one of my favorites, for example, Foxtrot Tango 1, Flanker Tanker's blog. A very excellent source for video breakdowns and commentaries on a lot of these different airsoft models that are out. Mine's going to be kind of quick and down and dirty here, so well, let's get started. First, I want to go over that this particular model comes in two variants. Now the variant I have here, this is an add-on unit which houses the battery, as you can see here. And the battery is simply housed inside. I inserted some insulating paper in there. As you can see, the battery is a typical 1100 milliamp airsoft battery that you can buy up to a couple of different sizes. Some will actually fit inside the actual container perfectly and give you a little bit more juice time. It does resemble the TC4 laser module that actually is mounts onto the real M4, M16 variants, and all you do is simply collect the underneath this tape here, under the grip I have the actual connector, and what you do is simply mount it to the gun, connect your connector, and you can pretty much bury the connector up underneath when you're done, so it really is kind of out of sight. And I stick it back in the grip. It helps hold in place. Of course, the tactical foregrip is a UTG tactical foregrip, very reliable. Again, fairly realistic little battery pack. It does give you some options. There is another variant out which, instead of having the LE standard expandable buttstock, which by the way is a solid, this one is very solidly reinforced with a steel metal rod going all the way through the gun. It's adjustable. Has the what they call a crane stock, which is more of a bulbous type of stock. If you do a search online for the HK416, you will see different variants. The 416 comes in two calibers. It comes in, of course, 5.56 by 4.5, and it also comes in the 308 version, which is the larger version. The HK4. This is the HK416D. And the other variant is the difference is just the caliber that it's chambered in, of course, the magazine and some of the minor changes. But cosmetically, they look similar. As you can see, the front is a very reinforced quad rail setup, very similar to the SCAR in many ways. The top rail, set it up here, is a full rail that runs the length of the weapon, as you can see. This is just an aftermarket ACOG copy that I have. The rear sight is, again, a version of the HK diopter sight, fully adjustable, with the actual mount points all 1, 2, 3, and 4 all numbered. I added an additional enforcement stud to make it secure a little better. I didn't like the way the original one was mounted. The front sight is a flip-up post. You simply lift these levers up, and just like the real thing, you have a flip-up front post, which is not really adjustable for height, but the rear post is adjustable a little bit, so you can do some minor adjusting here a little bit. And I chose a setup which would enable me to partially be able to use it with the actual sight. On the real ACOG, where the actual battery mounts here, so you get a better view, there's just an open channel where your sight will be able to look all the way through to the front post. The actual body itself, of course, the front is a very heavy adds most of the weight to the weapon, because this is the pure metal part of the weapon itself, is the top rail, the charging handle, and of course the front muzzle and the barrel and everything. It adds a lot. The weight of the weapon is very similar to that of an actual unit itself. The only parts that are actually ABS resin is the actual receiver, but the receiver itself does have real pins that you can remove, just like the real M4 M16, and the unit actually opens up to expose the gearbox and everything inside. The safety selector is pictogram, just like in the real HK, safe, single shot, and of course fully auto, with the actual revolving pictogram on the opposite side. The actual on the real weapon, it's not even really necessary, because they've HK completely redesigned the bolt and the carrier group inside the weapon so that it is far more efficient. It doesn't have the jams, and the receiver doesn't explode if you attempt to fire a round with water inside the chamber. And of course the charging handle does open up to expose the actual chamber inside. Now when you open it, as you can see, there's your hop-up adjust. Nice action. Again, as far as the actual markings, as you can see, it actually does say Heckler & Koch Defense Incorporated, Sterling, Virginia. And at the very front is another marking here. It's kind of hard to get at with a light, but see if I can get a better shot of it. It says warning, read operations manual, or correction, read operator's manual before use. The rail itself is, of course, plenty of options you can put on there. You can mount it under the barrel grenade launcher, one of the M series models for it. Happy for a good steady grip, just like I went on the real, any type of real M4 M16 variant. The stock again does lock in interlocking positions, a total of 4 that I could get it to lock in. You have a real simulated bolt release button here, and of course magazines. The magazine release button located firmly on the side, and for my choice is of course aftermarket stock, not high cap, although the choice is up to you. You can even go up to the dual drum high capacity 500 round unit, or 2,000 round unit, however you want to. Myself, I just prefer to have a simple spring-loaded type of assembly where it runs out, I have to grab another one from my vest and put it in. Keep it as real as possible. Okay. So, with that in mind, we will finish the first module on the Jingong HK 416D. Until part 2, this is HK Fanatic.